There.
Whew,
I got Discord open so I can try to remember
news.
to do it. So another Marvel game that we're maybe not as excited for as Marvel Alliance. Marvels Avengers was also on the panel today. I mean, I just read off the bullet points of what they showed off. They really stressed that the game was, I can't remember the quote, I should have put that down, but it was a third-person action story-driven game, and it felt like that was a vibe from lots of people that were there at the panel, that they are really hitting that hard as far as that's what the game is, and you have co-op online and online, but those are modes. So I think that makes sense, because me and Dylan were talking about in the chat that no one's privy to here. I don't know E3, and we'll never know, was that a case of they just screwed up and just crammed too much and weren't clear? Or were they honestly trying to pull the wool over people's eyes and be like, oh, it's a multiplayer game, it's a single-player game, like it's just the best thing ever?
Yeah.
I don't know, but
it's
at least...
confused marketing. But
at least now it seems they're going with this as a solo game and there's going to be co-op available. Will be like Ultimate Alliance where we can have fun online with each other. That will be time to be told, but I do like at least they're trying to be a bit more clear with it.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see, the other things they talked about is we finally learned where the hub's going to be for the main game. That's a Hell Carrier, so that's good.
That's cool.
And then I'll learn you'll go to other places.
Shows to the Marvel Lego game where that's the same thing.
Yeah, exactly.
It works well.
Let's see. There were lots of people in the audience were talking about a graphic update, and the combat, the gameplay was looking good, better than the E3 demo.
It seemed like it was a similar sequence that the E3 people saw, but it was just much cleaner. Yeah,
and the other thing they got added was a Thor and Iron Man co-op mission, so they got to see that. So that's good, because I think we've had an interesting journey with this game. We were very hyped for it, just we want another Marvel's game.
Yeah, we were big fans of the announced trailer, but then everything else that was happening that week was, to me, just red flag after red flag.
Very sketchy, yeah.
I hated the way that all the developers of the game were talking about it. It seemed like they were holding back on some things, and then the details they were releasing were everything was just bad for me.
Yeah.
And then also hearing that the gameplay didn't look so great. Obviously the game's about a year away, or it was at the time of E3, so still got a lot of time to stew. But I just was getting really bad vibes when they came out and they're like, no microtransactions, and then it's oh, but there is microtransactions.
It was no loot boxes.
Yeah, no loot boxes. But then it's okay, well, you guys just I don't know. It just really felt really disingenuous to me, and I've felt like that's been the case for a lot of the marketing for the game, where they're just holding things back, or they're saying things in a way that is meant to confuse you, or so you don't catch on.
Yeah.
And so I mean, I don't know. The stuff today, it's kind of mixed for me, but maybe slightly more positive. Seems like the game got a couple little upgrades since last time we saw it, but we still haven't seen gameplay. They did say, however, that
the week of August 20th, we're going to see gameplay. I don't think it'll be that exact demo because they're also going to Gamescom as well.
Mm-hmm.
That's one thing I will say, and this is why, and I'll fully admit my bias of I just want to have fun. I want this to be good, so I'm really hoping it's going to be good, but I can agree with Dylan that since E3, I was really hyped, I was ready to go, and then it's declined quite a bit. I think this was a step in the right direction. I don't think this was a big step to win all the hype back, but the good thing is they're going to Gamescom. They're showing this game off. They're not I would have really worried if they did E3, no Comic-Con, no Gamescom. So they're going around. They're trying to pimp it out. Maybe it's just they want that out there. But we talked about Ultimate Alliance, how it's been a little less. And the good thing was that majority of people, or at least not majority, I can't talk to everyone in the room, but I was following about 3 people on Twitter that I trust that are either scoopers or writers for video games, and they're all saying positive things about it. Not saying this is going to be the best game of the year, but just oh, the gameplay looks a lot fluer, things are looking a lot prettier. In my opinion, that Black Widow side-to-side look better because her hair actually was flowing whatnot, where before it was a wig. And then the 2 other big notes was you actually saw Kamala Khan in the trailer.
Yeah.
Because that was a big theory in the first game. She
gets infected with the Terrigen Mist or something.
Yeah, because in the first trailer for the game, she was just narrating it, and it was a fan narrating the trailer. Everyone was like, I bet that's Kamala Khan.
Yeah.
And to me, they didn't say she's playable, but for them to... If they had just showed her, fine, but to show her origin story, to me, that's an almost confirmation of that. So I feel like the other people...
Seems like it at this point.
Yeah, it's her. Spidey, we've pretty much been confirmed. We got Ant-Man, and then I'd say it's...
Well, Ant-Man seems more like a non-playable character, though, right?
I think he will be playable eventually, though,
so?
right? I think so.
I was getting NPC vibes from him. Or
I
just
think
story.
I think you could start like that, but Cyclops, Colossus, because they did say they're going to constantly be adding characters for free, right?
Yeah. Someday I could see him,
Yeah, so that's why I think as far as characters they're working on, and then I know we haven't seen anything, but the way they responded to the Hawkeye during E3, I think he's one.
Yeah.
And then the other thing, this is a big thing for me, because I've always said, and maybe this is bad, but I have a bias. I love Marvel comic books, so even if it's to me, I've said, Dylan, if the average of reviews are like a 7 out of 10, that's fine for me. But the big thing was they've confirmed that you can do lots of customization on costumes, and they showed off 3 costumes to the audience. They showed the Hulk Joe Fix-It. They showed the Iron Man Mark 42, which is a sick-ass costume, like the black and yellow and everything like that.
It's really cool. I haven't seen that one before. It's pretty nice.
And then a Cap scaled armor suit, which is great because, like Dylan pointed out, they like, oh, you can buy this statue. It's like everyone's trashing on it. No one likes this look of Captain America. It's bad. So I like that even though they said they're not going to change maybe their actual facial design, if I can throw a scaled armor suit on Captain America, I'm good to go. Even if I got to unlock that later on. So for me, today's panel, it wasn't like a full home run, but it's like they got a hit. They got one person on base 1. Just the first base. That's it. A single hit. So hopefully GameCon, they can keep this going up. And the good thing is it's still till May. They got a long time. It's only going to look better. And I think them being more clear on the game now is good. It won't be as hype for us as like Marvel Alliance because we can't play together.
Yeah.
But if it ends up being at least like a decent, fun solo player game that we could still do co-op, I'm happy. So
there's definitely still a lot of shining stars for this game. I mean, the fact still that like, there's going to be free content that's releasing for this game months and months, years, who knows, after release. And then you're going to have to pay for things like costumes, but to get like maybe new characters, new areas for free, like that's awesome, right? It means that you're paying the same price that you are other games, but you're going to get more out of it in the long run. And I love the idea of co-op. It seems like the co-op wasn't the focus. It seems like it's kind of strangely integrated. We'll have to find out and see because it's still a long time away. I was hoping more that the co-op would be something like I don't want to say a focus, but I wanted it to be able to play through the entire game with you and Kirkland and whoever else my friends is interested in the game. It doesn't really seem like that's going to be the case, at least like on your first playthrough, which it's fine. It's not like the worst thing ever. At least you still have the option to play with your friends. And really, I mean, at the end of the day, when you're playing these superhero games, like these team ups, you want to play with your friends, right? It adds to the environment of the game. It fits the genre. So hopefully that's like really well integrated. That's kind of my biggest thing is the co-op. That's like the biggest selling point for me. So I have to see how that goes. Character-wise, I think Kamala Khan's awesome. I don't know much about her yet, but I will soon enough with Ultimate Alliance.
Tomorrow,
she's
baby.
Playable in there. Excited to try her out. But I think she's a really cool, unique character within the Marvel universe, like the type of characters, personality-wise. And then moveset-wise, I think it's similar to Mr. Fantastic, but I think different in a couple small ways. And it's definitely like a fun, unique kind of moveset you can play with.
And she fits because the story jumps 5 years ahead, and they've also said that the superheroes are outlawed. So that would make sense why you might see a Kamala Khan take the mantle while the Avengers are, like we've seen Tony's not looking good in this world. So it makes sense that maybe that's how we introduce an Ant-Man, a Kamala Khan, Spidey, things like that. So Hawkeye.
Yeah, definitely. I'm definitely not sold on the game yet just because of all those red flags I've talked about. I mean, this panel wasn't huge, but I'm really excited to see that full gameplay footage coming in August 20th. That's going to be a huge thing for me because we still haven't seen true gameplay. Like I've seen someone's like phone shitty recording and that's it's hard to get a good vibe. Like it looked to me pretty much like what I saw in the trailer, so it wasn't really anything new. So I definitely need to see what the gameplay is like. The customization is a big selling point. That's really cool.
People said there was some really I don't know what, because people weren't that specific. They just lots of people said it looked really cool, so I'm not sure if there is like you can maybe change certain colors of suits they give you, which I would like if you got a new costume but could also change colors. That'd be tons of fun. And it seems like they're doing deep cuts with a Joe Fix-It for Hulk, so that's something different. It's not just like here's Red Hulk, like that's a weird one because that doesn't really even fit with that game, right? Hulk in a suit.
It feels more like 80s or something.
So that's why I like that. It's like that because even then we talked about with Spider-Man PS4 that you have your base game. It's very dramatic, and there's some suits we wouldn't wear because this just doesn't fit.
Doesn't fit the story.
So if they even do that, I would be a big fan of that. I'm hopefully that too much of that's not microtransactions, but that's what we'll see.
Yeah, I would hope for the base characters that they at least have like a couple like solid.
Yeah, at least one, even one.
Like we talked about Ultimate Alliance. Like maybe most or if not all the skins are just kind of cheap recolors, and that kind of sucks. But you also have like nearly 40 characters in your base roster, whereas in a game like Avengers, which is probably going to have, I'm going to say less than 10 like guaranteed characters.
Overall, for this lifespan?
Like at launch, I mean. Less than 10 at launch, I would think.
At launch?
I think their focus was like the 6, Kamala Khan, maybe Spidey. That's already at 8, I guess.
No, we're just 5 because remember there was no Hawkeye.
But he'll be playable, won't he? No?
He would, but are you saying playable or at launch? Because at launch, I would take a bet that only 5 will be playable at launch. I really think so.
Not Miss Marvel?
No. So
the game's a year away, man. Like, that's still a long time.
So, okay, let's say this. So you mean at launch that you could let's see. So you could unlock people throughout the story, right? You know what? No, I'm gonna stick.
Well,
to
you
it.
would have like different missions, right? And that's where you play as like a certain character. Then eventually, maybe you'd get to choose who you're playing as.
I think the main story. I think it's gonna be the 5, and I think those people. Because I was gonna throw this analogy to you, or not an analogy comparison. I don't think it will be anywhere near the depth of this, but could they be treating online as the same way GTA and Red Dead treated online after they are done? You play through the base game, and the reason they said there will be online,
in the world.
Yeah, we're going to add to it. We're going to add events, stuff like that, and that's where I could see other characters, because I think the base game might just be those 5.
That depends on one big thing, and that big thing is the biggest thing of all. It's an open world, whereas that like GTA has always been... everything you do in the main story, except for maybe the one-off mission, like the intro to the game, the prologue, is like all in the area that you do the entire game with. So it makes sense when you go on online. But this game, as we know, it already doesn't have like a fully open world. Yes, it has like a helicarrier hub, but it doesn't seem like I don't think it'll be like the Lego game where you start up there, you jump down, land anywhere you want in the city. It's going to be more separated levels. I don't know if it'll be more like Division, where it's like big city streets. I don't know if it's going to be like Dishonored, where it's like you have 2 or 3 streets that are all technically part of the level. You can go whatever way you want. So that's where I don't know if like events and stuff are going to add into that super well. Where
I'm interested. Yeah, I'm still curious.
That's kind of, I mean, co-op and like how the level doesn't really work are kind of my 2 biggest questions, because I think it's like if you have 5 characters, that's a lot. Like think about how Spider-Man PS4 is a game that was like, it took me a while just to do everything in that game. That was one character, and I never got bored. Like I was always super into it. And yes, I love Spider-Man as a character, but I definitely love some of these characters as well. So I think there's like, or just between playing different characters, there's probably enough replayability to make the levels interesting. You play them with different characters, but I don't know. I guess I'm trying to consider like how many characters will be in the base game. I think definitely less than 10 at launch.
I agree with you there. Yeah,
I could see if they're teasing Miss Marvel now. I think she'll definitely be in the base roster. I've been getting vibes that Ant-Man is like a story or an ant. Or
why would you think that though? Because I feel like their introductions are very similar as far as you get to see her origin and she's just off the side. You don't see his origin, but he comes and helps out in a mission. Like you don't think that could be his introduction? Like now Ant-Man's unlocked and you can play as.
I honestly don't like. It's only one scene, so it's really hard to judge.
Yeah.
But that's just the vibe I get. Like
really?
I don't have much more of a depth to
that's
that.
Fair enough.
But he just it felt like he was there for like a story reason to help them out. But I would not be totally shocked if he was playable.
I guess I take the reverse just because it was E3 and they bookend the trailer and he was almost like the one more thing and it was like, oh, Ant-Man. So that's why I thought he would be playable. But the good thing I forgot to mention too is, again, they keep talking about PlayStation is going to get exclusive stuff during the beta. But the good thing is no date for it, obviously. But we get the beta first. So we'll get some at least... At least we can play it and know, because I feel like if we can play that's see point. It, and then we will be more sold or less sold. Yeah, and that's what I like.
As I said to you earlier off cast, like if Doctor Strange or Scarlet Witch are a playable character in this game, I'm like nearly sold because, well, assuming those characters, assuming I watch the gameplay and like the look of those characters, but I just love the idea of their abilities, and I would just be so down to play as either one of them. So if either one of them were in it, like that really, like regardless of what co-op is like, that really like drives up my interest in the game by a significant amount. And that's just like on a personal level, because with the base characters in this game, like if we include Spidey, that's a huge one. But at the same time, I played Spidey PS4. Like I don't need it for that. I'd be down to play Miss Marvel. I'm sure they'd all be fun.
Hey, Ant-Man won't be an Ultimate Alliance, maybe, so you get your fix over here, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, because we talk about. I just think with the vibe they're going, I don't think we'll see Strange or Scarlet Witch. I think they're going for more.
I don't think Scarlet Witch. I feel like Strange has a chance, possibly. Yeah. I think he'd be like just conceptually a character you'd want to do. I think he fits into the story more than Scarlet Witch, who I would say is like more. I know in MCU she isn't an X-Men, but I think that's like kind of more her association generally. So I feel like she'd maybe be a little out of place.
I'm just not seeing much magic in these Avengers. It seems like it's very like Phase 1 MCU, where it's just like, this is a real world science, right?
It's definitely more gritty. Yeah.
So
a little darker and
even then, if we got Strange, I think it would be later on. But hey, I forgot about that. But that's why that beta actually excites me, because I'm not a big beta person. But
I wonder how early that comes out.
Yeah, just to try it out. That'll be a big decision making for if I get that game or not.